Scientists find that women absorb and retain DNA from every man they have sex with. Baxter Dimitri reports. Women retain and carry living DNA cells from every man with whom they have sexual intercourse, according to a new study by the University of Seattle and the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center. The study, which discovered the startling information by accident, was originally trying to determine if women who have been pregnant with a son might be more predisposed to certain neurological diseases that occur more frequently in males. But as the scientists picked apart the female brain, the study began to veer wildly off course. As it turns out, the female brain is even more mysterious than we previously thought. The study found that a female brain often harbors male microchimerism, or in other words, the presence of male DNA cells that originated from another individual and are genetically distinct from the cells that make up the rest of the woman. Microchimerism, abbreviated MC, is the presence of a small number of cells that originate from another individual and are therefore genetically distinct from the cells of the host individual. And here's what it looks like. You can see that cells from the baby enter the mother's body. According to the study, 63% of the females, 37 of the 59 tested, harbored male microchimerism in the brain. Male microchimerism was present in multiple brain regions. So 63% of the women carry male DNA cells that live in their brains. Obviously, the researchers wanted to know where the male DNA came from. Anyone care to guess? From the woman's fathers? No. Your father's DNA combines with your mother's to create your unique DNA. So where else could it come from? Through the study, the researchers assumed that the most likely answer was that all male DNA found living in the female brain came from a male pregnancy. That was a safe, politically correct assumption. But these researchers were living in denial, because when they autopsied the brains of women who had never been pregnant, let alone with a male child, they still found male DNA cells prevalent in the female brain. At this point, the scientists didn't know what the hell was going on. Confused, they did their best to hide the evidence until they could understand and explain it. They buried it in numerous sub-studies and articles, but if you sift through them all, you will find the damning statement, the one line that gives the game away and explains exactly where these male DNA cells come from. What are they so afraid of? Conclusions. Male microchimerism was not infrequent in women without sons. Besides known pregnancies, other possible sources of male microchimerism include unrecognized spontaneous abortion, vanished male twin, an older brother transferred by the maternal circulation, or sexual intercourse. Male microchimerism was significantly more frequent and levels were higher in women with induced abortion than in women with other pregnancy histories. Further studies are needed to determine specific origins of male microchimerism in women. So according to the scientists, the possible sources of the male DNA cells living in the women's brains are 1. An abortion the women didn't know about. 2. A male twin that vanished. In other words, it was absorbed by the woman's body. 3. An older brother transferred by the maternal circulation. 4. Sexual intercourse. Considering the fact that 63% of the women have male DNA cells residing in the recesses of their brain, which of the above possibilities do you think is the most likely origin of the DNA male? The male DNA. The first 3 options apply to a very small percentage of women. That leaves the 4th option, sexual intercourse. They couldn't possibly account for the 63% figure. The 4th option is rather more common, sexual intercourse. The answer is 4, sex. This has very important ramifications for women. Every male you absorb spermatozoa from becomes a living part of your life. The women autopsied in this study were elderly. Some had been carrying the living male DNA inside them for well over 50 years. Sperm is alive. It is living cells. When it is injected into you, it swims and swims until it crashes headlong into a wall. And then it attaches and burrows into your flesh. If it's in your mouth, it swims and climbs into your nasal passages, inner ear, and behind your eyes. Then it digs in. It enters your bloodstream and collects in your brain and your spine. We're talking about oral sex here, if it's in your mouth, obviously. Oral sex. Like something out of a sci-fi movie, it becomes a part of you and you can't get rid of it. We are only now beginning to understand the full power and ramifications of sexual intercourse. Sources here are male microchimerism in the human female brain, male microchimerism in women without sons, quantitative assessment and correlation with pregnancy history. Of course, that would mean possibility number 4, it comes from sexual intercourse. So this is fantastic, isn't it? I mean, I never knew of this. I knew that usually when they breed dogs for a clean breed of dogs, they will never ever, if a female bitch had gone with another dog, they would never use her for breeding, a clear breed. I know that, basically because of the fact that they believe that the female dog would always have the DNA of some other dog. So obviously this is something carried on to humans, but the scientists here find that it's in the brain of the woman. You can imagine, I'm sorry to say this, you're having oral sex and the DNA of the man you're having oral sex with ends up in your brain. Shocking.